Actually, Dipali, we are not involved with this NPTEL transcripts or uploading of videos. These are independently managed by the NPTEL team itself. So we don't have any interaction with the NPTEL team. We only generally get the instructions for conducting the live sessions only. Uh, One thing you can do, you can raise a query on the discussion forum. So you know about this discussion forum, na? Kindly convey message as I have written them to. So I don't know whom to convey message in the NPTEL team because we have a separate PMRF NPTEL that handles these things, the live interaction session, and I think so one thing you can do if you have raised this query on the discussion forum, because NPTEL team is very much active. Generally, the TAs of this course are very much active on the discussion forum. They read each and every comments, and they, if there are any feedback, so they look into it. So what you can do, you can raise your question on the discussion forum. Otherwise, you can also mail Professor Harshit Sohan Lakra also directly. Ki ma'am, the transcripts for lecture 42 and up to lecture 42 is available on the NPTEL, but from lecture 42 to 60 they are not available. So kindly help us in retrieving those transcripts, or kindly provide us the transcript. Okay, so professor will surely help, I think. Yeah, surely. First put on discussion forum. So I think because there are lots of mail, people mail a lot to the NPTEL team. So NPTEL team is actually over flooded with the emails. There are lots of courses going on. I think something 200 or 300 courses at a time goes on. So they have they receive a lot of mail, and many of them mail goes unskipped, or they can't be able to read all these mails. So I suggest you to actually raise it on discussion forum. So TAs, teaching assistant of this course, can notice them, and then they can convey it to the NPTEL team from their end. Okay, or to the Harshit ma'am. Okay, okay, thank you. Is there any other question from any other students? So anything you want to ask apart from this? Kindly provide teaching assistant email. I don't know. I teaching assistant. We don't have any interaction with the course TAs or the professor. We don't know the professor also. This is totally a different scheme. This is about live interaction scheme. So we are handled by the NPTEL itself. So there is a team of NPTEL that handles our live interaction. So we don't have. For Professor Lakra, you can get the email on IIT Roorkee website. So you just Google Professor Harshit Sohan Lakra IIT Roorkee, you will get the email. Okay. So anything else you guys want to ask? And anything about the course contents, or the live interaction session? So I think it's the 8 live interaction sessions. So mostly if you go by the week wise or month wise, then it's around 2 months, and now only 4 live interaction sessions are remaining. So is there anything which you feel is lacking in the live interaction session, or you want something for me to discuss more, or you want some more contents on that topic? Anything from you guys? I want to hear your feedback if you have any, so I could focus on that only. So generally, what I feel ki you guys should have a good interaction, good what do you say, uh, good interaction and discussion. So I put a lot of diverse content also. Like if we are going to solve a question, then I try to put the historical abstract also, and some other information that you don't get from the course also. So I try to uh, how to draft EIA discussion on it. Yeah, sure. I think in the last class or last uh, this interaction session, I have shown the EIA document. How does it look like? And whatever we are doing, this is EIA drafting EIA only. So we go by one by one. So in week 5, week 6, you have read about this scoping thing, how projects are scoped, screening, scoping, how it is done. Then we are now into analysis thing, how impacts are actually calculated. So process wise we are going. Okay. So overall, when you go by different processes, so you know each and everything. Now compile it in a report. That is EIA. Okay. So first, see, this is a course. This is not a EIA report which we are teaching or which Professor Lakra is teaching. So EIA report is very compact, very specific report. In course, you have to teach everything, every detailed methodology, how it is done, what are the different scopes, what is the background, what, why it is, why not that. Okay, but EIA report is specific. If there is any plant, so for that plant, this is the EIA report, a specific study, a specific focus. Okay, so there is a EIA report. I have put a link also for a EIA report. Look like this. These are the procedure for doing the EIA report. So you can go to the last live session. You can check the last 2 3 slides. I think that contains the link. Otherwise, I also have the link with me now. Showing case study. I think it has been discussed in the lectures also with case study. So don't worry, I will in this live interaction session itself. So let's start with EIA thing only. So have if you want to know, I think you guys must have a good question among the, like we are reading a lot of things whether that fit into the EIA thing or not. So yeah, so let's start with the EIA thing. Okay, so let me start with the EIA only today. So. Uh, again, students, good evening and welcome to the live NPTEL session. This is Environmental Impact Assessment live session 8 of 19th of March 2024. The course instructor is Professor Harshit Sohan Lakra. She is Assistant Professor in Department of Architecture and Planning, IT Roorkee. And I am Rohit. I am your scholar at IIT Bombay and I am your live assistant teaching assistant for this course. Okay, live interaction session teaching assistant. So generally we'll follow this live teaching methodology that we follow every week. Generally discussion on the topic, doubts clearing, interaction with the students is our main focus. Otherwise you can read your question on the discussion forum which I basically promote, because if you ask any important question discussion forum, so not only you get the answer, all the community of students get the answer. Okay, so also you can use the chat box or to get the query address. So there is a chat box which we are talking about also here on the right hand side of the screen. So you can post your queries also there. So before going to, I think before going to solving assignment, let's discuss this EIA report. So I think it's a very big question. Additional contents. So I will go to the additional content. So this is a EIA report. Okay, this is from Ministry of Road. Okay, so let me see whether we can think. So let's see how it looks like. Okay, so are you guys able to? Hi Jyoti, good evening. So are you guys able to see this environmental impact assessment report? So this is from rehabilitation and upgradation to immediate lane of Paonta Sahib Rajmanch Shilai Minas Hatkoti road portion between kilometer 97 to 106 plus 120 Gumma to Fedi design road 94 plus 900 to 103 plus 550 of NH 707 in the state of Himachal Pradesh. So they have actually shown the report road also. Okay, project road. So this is the projected road. Okay, this is the state boundary they have shown. Everything is shown in the Mm. And who have prepared this report? Consulting Engineering Associates, okay, in the Panchkula. So generally consultants prepare these EIA reports and then they pass through different stages. So there is how the projects are actually done in India. So there is a um, main agency, principal agency. Okay, so first, let's say the government wants to build a road, but government doesn't have the expertise to build a road. So what they do, they have a specific PSUs or some boards or bodies that build a road. So generally, in case of Delhi, maybe NDMC wants to build a road. So there will be some Delhi Road Development Authority or PWD department, so that can build a road. So those will be nodal agencies. After nodal agencies, they will float a contract. Then they want to build a road. Then there will be study. So EIA study will be there. Now they also don't have the expertise to conduct the EIA study. So they will float a contract for EIA study, and they will select the best consultant agency who can do EIA for them. So then these consultant agencies prepare a EIA report and submit it to the nodal agency, which is PWD in this case. Then PWD will forward, then there will be recommendation by the agency itself, like this has to be done, this is to be done. Then it will submit it to the state or central environmental department or board depending on the screening of the project. So that is what we were taught in the screening, like project category A, project category B, project category B1, B2. Okay, like this. So we have to screen the report. Okay, whom we have to send the report, whether it will go to that central department or state boards or state PCB boards. Okay. Then after that, the state nodal environmental agency will pass the report or will pass. No, there will be some modification or mitigation measures which has to be taken. So that will be taken up by the agency. Okay, by the agencies. The nodal agency, which is the nodal agency, that is in the case PWD department. Okay. Now this EIA report is worked upon, then this contract is awarded, and the working of the road will go on. Okay. So this is how the whole process goes on. It takes time, a lot of time. So this is the EIA report for a road construction in Himachal Pradesh. Now, these are the contents of the report. So, they have included background, general importance of the project, study methodology, environmental assessment, structure of the report, then the various descriptions, then policy, legal, institutional framework, then baseline environmental status. So, baseline environmental status is because you have read in the question in the slides also. Baseline because we need to define a baseline from where we need to analyze our impacts. Okay, so we may say that impacts will be grown by 2x, but what is the baseline for that? Okay, so baseline environmental status has to be calculated. Now, baseline environmental status is like if there is something deterioration in the environment. So after 5 years, whether the environment will be deteriorated or whether it will be upgraded. See, let's say if in this area, like in this area, okay, so there are 1,000 trees. Okay, but in the past 5 years we see a trend that number of trees are increasing year by year. So after 5 years certainly there will be 1,200 or 1,400 trees, so that will become a baseline, not the 1,000 trees. So depend on that, it depends on that for which year the baseline is being taken, what is the percentage change or something, so that has to be considered. So everything, physical environment, that contains air, noise, water, land, everything. Then ecological resources, flora, protected areas, fauna, biodiversity. Okay, socio-cultural environment, demographic measures, socio-economic profile of the project affected people, agriculture, and public concentration. Then with this they propose alternatives. So they analyze, okay, EIA without EMP, EIA with EMP. Then they conclude like this is the thing, this you have to do. Then environmental impacts, okay, impact on soil, impact on water, impact on air, noise impact. Okay, these has to be studied. Then avoidance, mitigation, and enhancement. This is the thing which they suggest to do. So let's see. So they have made a EIA report. Okay, so they have given a general background about this. The Ministry of Road Transport, Government of India has taken a massive development work on national highway. This has to be built. What is the importance? Then they have included map also. The study methodology. This is the study methodology. They have to define the study methodology. Okay, structure, general description. So they have to classify the terrain also. How much is the rainfall, etc. Everything. Cross section. So let's pass all these things and directly go to impacts, measures, retaining wall. All these things are nonsense. So these are the impacts. Okay. So they have identified the impacts, environmental impacts. Okay. So they have identified like what are the negative impacts. So these are the negative impacts. Okay. Positive impacts, what will be the positive? So if there is any project, not only there will be negative impact, some positive impact will also be there. So yeah, proposed penetration is positive impact, because when there is, whenever a road is built, so trees are planted on its side, so that is basically positive impact. There were no trees earlier, but now there is a row of trees on both sides of the road, so that is also a positive impact. Now, impacts on soil, loss of productive soil, soil erosion, construction stage, how much is the soil erosion, operation stage, compaction of soil, contamination of soil during construction stage, all these things have been. And not only thing, they have actually quantified it also. So this is actually done. Natural environment, impact on the roadside tree, impact on socio-cultural environment, impact on the safety and public health. So each and every now we have identified the impacts. Now we have to propose the avoid and how these impacts can be avoided. Like if trees are being cut down for building roads, then either we can have shift the road. How can we avoid cutting of trees? Either we can shift the road. Okay, some alignments can be changed. Mitigation. Now we have to cut the tree anyway. There are nowhere we can shift the road or anything. And mitigation, plant 10 trees by cutting one tree. If you're cutting one tree, then plant 10 trees. Enhancement measures, what can be the enhancement measures? Like if there is a lot of air pollution, then put some devices that capture the dust and air pollution, all these things. Okay. So they are actually see they have provided the for soil control measures. So erosion, there will be erosion because of building of roads. So they have provided a suggestion that have a hedge bush layer. So these are the hedge bushes. Okay, bamboo net plantation. This is bamboo net plantation. And not only they have actually they have to provide a length, number, everything. Hydro seeding is there. Rock anchoring, so the rock don't fall off on the around, because after building a road on generally on the mountains, the rocks become somewhat shaky or something, so they have to be bolted also. Now construction stage, soil contamination, how that has to be mitigated or adapted. So everything, each and every suggestion is there. And if there are any stakeholders consent or stakeholders involvement, like if there is a village that has to be shifted, generally in case of dam, when you build a dam, so stakeholders there are villagers or something whose lands are getting submerged, so they also are part of these environmental impact assessment report. Okay, handling of petroleum products. So they have provided an exercise also, like attend a seat of consultation at Anthroli and Gumma village. So there were two villages that were involved. So people were actually see the consultation, public stakeholder consultation meeting at attendance seat. So you can see the meeting. See, okay. So people have been there. They have been consulted for this. See, okay. So it is not like government just want to build a road, then they can build a road. No, The- people have to be consulted, sign on it. Girth-wise detail of trees, how much the diameter of trees, so everything. Environment management plan is also submitted along with EIA report. So this is a different report, environment management plan. Okay, so how this is the environment management compliance, everything. Environment clearance, consent to establish wildlife clearance, environment management plan. Okay, objective, compliance, penalty clause, non-conformance and corrective answers. Okay, international practices for consideration during EMP implementation, like the contractor while implementing the EMP will develop procedures to achieve the following, like minimum air emission from the construction activities to maintain better levels. Okay, minimize energy consumption in the construction sites, minimize wastewater generation at camp and construction sites, use of optimum natural resources. Everything is there. So everything has to be looked into. Okay, so this is how a detailed report. So it's a 207-page report, and everything is included. Okay, see guidelines for silt fencing, oil interceptor, everything. See if there are any suggestion. So it is not like only suggestion. The ways to implement them are also provided in this report. Okay, traffic management plan. See, so I think slides. Slides were not visible or something. Oh, I actually all I have explained all the. Okay, don't worry. I will explain it again. So, otherwise, don't worry. This whole session is actually recorded, so it will be uploaded on the YouTube also. So you can go there and see the whole thing which I have explained. Otherwise, I will explain it again. So you must have got the idea. So I think uh, let's open it again. So now it is visible, my screen and these. It was not slides, it was a EIA report itself. So this is a EIA report. So is it visible? Yeah, uploaded with slides. So Dipali, everything, the slides are actually uploaded. The videos are also uploaded and the links are shared with you guys. So I am sure you guys are getting the links for the video or something. So is it okay? Everybody is on the same page. Like, are you guys getting the live session recorded videos? Okay. So Varsha is saying, yeah, Anjali is saying your current discussion was without slide. So Dipali, it was not slide, it was a report itself. So it was a report itself. So I'm again explaining again. Don't worry, I will explain again. So don't worry about it. Okay. So this is the environmental impact report. So you guys said, "Ki sir, I want a case study for environmental impact report. How it is? How does a report look like?" So this is what I explained. So I will explain it again. Don't worry. So this is the project which has to be taken by state of Himachal Pradesh. This is the environmental impact assessment report. This is prepared by the consulting engineering associates, and the process which I explained, ki how environmental impact assessment reports are prepared. So let's say government of Himachal Pradesh wants to build a road. Okay, so it doesn't have the expertise, so it will contact one of its agency, let's say Public Works Department, to build the road. Now, what Public Works Department will do? Uh, it will select the agency, consulting agency, or any agency to prepare a EIA report. So it will provide them with money. Then they say prepare a environmental impact assessment report for me. So these state of Himachal Pradesh, the Ministry of Road and Transport and Highways have actually selected consulting engineering associates as their consulting agency for preparing of this EIA report. Now these EIA reports, these are the contents of EIA report which you can go through. If you, I have shared the slides also. So please guys go to and open the slides also. So otherwise, let me share the link here also. You guys also open this report. Open this report in your phone or in your laptop also. Okay. So you guys can also come up with me. So these are the contents of the report. It has everything which I was saying. It has like first thing is that they decide first they decide what is the background of this project. Okay. Second, they give every description of the project because that is necessary. They need to know the project. What is the project? I'm building a road, but which road? Are you building that road? Are you building this village road or anything? So a proper description is also there. How much is the length? What is the bus shelter number? Public places, everything. Then they go into policy, legal, institutional frameworks. Like if I am going to do a EIA, which law or which laws are applicable? Now this is the screening phase. Okay, screening and scoping phase. This is now whether I have to give submit the report for clearance to any other agency or not. Okay, so this is the screening and scoping phase. Then after that, after screening and scoping, in the lecture video, what you have learned, you have to identify the baseline impacts. Okay, like this is the baseline. If I am saying ki my pollution will increase by 200 units, what is the baseline? So you need to define the baseline. After 5 years, due to building this road, 10,000 trees will not be there. But from where 10,000 trees? If if it is 10 crores trees are there on the road, so 10,000 trees is nothing. If there is only 12,000 trees and 10,000 trees are cut, then it is a big impact. So you need to select a baseline. Okay. So, okay. Then after public consultation, okay, then public consultation takes place. This is stakeholder participation, which you read in the EIA thing. Okay. Then we have analysis of alternatives. Okay, everything is there. This road is there. Can we have some alternatives? Can we have some of the, okay, so everything is there. Then you go to the environmental impacts. If we are building this report, what will be the environmental impacts? So they classify the impacts, impacts on physical environment, soil, water, air, everything. Then natural environment, then socio-cultural environment, which you read in the 3 or 4 lecture. Impact on safety and public health. Okay, so everything. Now I think you guys can relate to whatever you have been taught in the weekly lectures. Then what was there after that? After impacts, what was there? Either you adapt with the impacts, either you mitigate the impacts, or either you enhance some of the features so that these impacts can be contained. Okay. So like what can be the avoidance? Like you are building a report, you are building a road. So there are a lot of trees. I gave three examples. There are a lot of trees there on that land. So what? How can you avoid cutting all those trees? So I will shift the direction of the road. I will pass it through some other lands where trees are less. So this is avoidance. And mitigation. Now you don't have any land available. Everything is covered. Villages, agriculture is there. So you have to build a road along this land only. But there are trees. So you cut the trees, but you plant the trees again. That is mitigation. Enhancement. What you do? You raise the road height, or you make it underground. So no trees has to be cut. That is enhancement. Okay. So everything has to be. And then environmental management plan is also built. Everything. Then I show different examples, different thing, the impacts, how they are calculated, and if there are any impacts, they are not identifying the impact. They are calculating how much will be the impact. Okay, everything they are doing. They're giving the baseline scenario also, like baseline no, permissible limit also. Okay, so see, they are providing everything. And after that, there is a annexure where you saw the public consultation and everything. Let me show the public consultation sheet. Annexures. That was a very important sheet which I wanted to show you guys. चला गया. Hmm. So consultation program. Okay, the stakeholders involvement. In EIA thing, what you say? Stakeholder involvement. So this is how the consultation was. Typical issues like drainage problem will be there, road safety, bus stop. Okay, when people of the village were free. Now there is a road, then road safety is also issue. Then what are the people's views on that? Everything has to be considered. Loss of income, road safety, drainage, everything. Photographs. So this is how the. So let me first see. Are you guys able to see everything? So this is a very important exercise which we are doing today. I think. Okay, Dipali. So see, this is how photographs of the public consultation. So people say no, public consultation doesn't take place, but it does take place. In India, public consultation of EIA is mandatory to prepare the EIA report. See, so what they do, not every public is actually consulted. So some representatives from like like the village headman goes, some of the persons of ward, everything goes. A prominent person goes to there. Generally, it is open for everything, but generally these people go and have. If you have any issue, then you can. Okay. So at different locations also see the public consultation pictures. Then analysis of alternatives also. Environmental impacts. Public consultation. There was a sheet also. And it's not showing here. There was a sheet where name was also mentioned and everything. So, this was how to mitigate everything. So this is hedge bush layer. So this is the hedge bush, and this is how they are planted on the side of the mountain so that erosion can be contained. This is bamboo net plantation. This is hydro seeding. Okay, so hydro seeding is basically seeds are actually inserted through water, spread through water. Rock anchoring. Okay, so a lot of landslide is there in the mountains when you build a road. So rock anchoring is also important. Soil contamination, everything has to be taken care of. So try to read this report. This is a very fantastic report on what I say next, search attendance sheet. Huh? This is what I was saying. See, the public consultation and stakeholders meeting. So people have actually participated with contact details and they have signed the sheet. Yeah, I was there. Our problem has been raised. That doesn't mean your problem is solved. You have raised your problem. You have put your views. So that is actually put in the environmental report. And what are the mitigations of that is also placed in that. Okay. Girth wise details of trees, everything. Okay. So, is there any particular opinion in public consultation? Is there any particular opinion? So, yeah, generally, if you are affected by something, like it doesn't it, percentage. Is there any particular percentage opinion in public? I could not understand what you are asking, Dipali. But let's say like people are affected with something like there are road safety is what they are affected. So yeah, they may have a particular opinion about road safety. Like I don't want this road. Many children play inside the villages. They can get hit by the vehicles flying on the road. So yeah, they are actually allowed to build their particular opinion on that. Some of the time they are very much like not very sure of giving approval to build this road also. Acha, percentage opinion in public consultation. Total strength of people need to give opinion. See, uh, as per the how can I say? So if there is something like if you have a gram sabha type of thing, like village council type of thing. So decisions has to be there is written that in constitution or the article related to decision has to be taken by the Gram Sabha, but there is no quorum defined for that Gram Sabha. So if people come, let's say there are 500 people in the villages, but in the Gram Sabha only 50 people come. So yeah, I don't think a very quorum is defined, but yes, some of like it should not be like only 8 to 10 people participate on the. They have to show through different consultation angles also. Like they have so they have shown they have done various consultation, not only one point, and they said okay, every problem has been addressed or has been taken care of or has been noticed. So they have done 4 to 5 public consultation and then so going to this public consultation, so there is no quorum defined. Okay, first thing. So if there is only 10 to 20 people, then also there mainly the important views are addressed or not. This is taken care of. Okay. So it doesn't matter ki you have 50 people or 500 people. The views like road safety, cutting of trees, pollution, everything has been noticed or been taken and to notice or not, this is more important. Okay, even if you have 1 or 2 people in the public consultation, but if they are presenting the issues properly, then it's okay. Okay, so I think you guys now have a good understanding about this EIA thing or EIA report or something which is prepared, how it is prepared. So this is good actually. You guys now can relate yourself to these EIA reports or something. So now whatever the professor will teach, now you can connect to that. Okay, EIA report mein this thing was there. So yeah, this thing was there. Yeah, I got it. Something. Okay. So I think now we can move to the slides. So I prepared a very long slide, and most of the time I spent on the EIA report only. So that is good actually. I think these type of discussions are actually important in the live interaction session. I thank you, Deepali, for bringing out this topic. I want you guys also to, if you want something like some discussion or something, so feel free to raise the question, so I can make that thing happen. This is for you guys. This live interaction session. This is not for me. Okay. So I want you guys to make your concepts very clear, like what EIA, how the report looks like, who does that, what is there in the EIA report, how do we mitigate, what is the meaning of mitigation, what is the meaning of adaptation. Okay, so let's solve some 4 to 5 questions, then we can have a break of 2 minutes. So it's not a break actually, I call it break, but it's like a discussion break. So you guys can go through and then again ask some question in the discussion break. So otherwise it will be very hectic for you guys to go on only teaching, teaching, teaching. It should not be like that. It should be like you raise your questions also and get your answers. So does EIA auditor require license to practice as consultant? So no, as of now there are no licenses to practice as a EIA auditor, but yeah, it doesn't mean that you will act as a EIA reporter. Let's say you want to be a EIA reporter and next day you are a EIA reporter auditor. It is not like that. Only people gain experiences. So this EIA report is not by a single person who is termed as auditor. A lot of people work on this EIA report and prepare a report. Okay, so this consultant company may have 50 people working on this project and then they have prepared a report. Okay, so yeah, there is no requirement of license. You just have to join this consultant company. So you join as an associate, then you get promotion with experience, and then you get to a point where you are in charge of this project. Like this project is there, now you have to prepare the report. Some 40-50 people will work under you and you will guide them. Okay, this is environment impact, this is this impact. Okay, so company also does not require license, right? No, company doesn't require any license, but they may require some registration with the Ministry of Environment and Forest Affairs. Okay, no license. As of my knowledge, no license is needed. License Raj is over. Okay, it is not like they are going to open a restaurant where they need fire safety and food safety license. Okay, this is the service which they are providing. So service industry doesn't need any license. It is like a service which you are providing. So yeah, they may need registration with the like different registrations are necessary, but only register. Okay, so let's move to this. So okay, so first thing is that first question is true or false. So these questions are very easy. You just have to figure out and mark true or false. Scoping out with respect to climate change in EIA process mainly depend on the nation to nation based on their legislative provision. So this is a true statement. Every nation has their different aspects and different perspective of scoping in, scoping out, climate change, everything. So yeah, this is a true statement. So I put one of this Paris Agreement, which is one of the best example of nation to nation based views and legislative provision on the climate change. Because many nations have ratified it. Now USA, United States under Donald Trump has actually said that we are withdrawing from the Paris Agreement or something when he was the president. So this is how it works. So we will see this video before we need to study what is a scoping stage, how to determine it. So scoping basically is a study area, impact area, project affected area. So let's say that road was being, so this whole area is actually scoping stage. Okay, impact area. Survey methodologies also come under the, how do we survey, like if you want to count the trees, so how do we count the trees? Okay, you are you going to count each and every trees, or are you going to count a tree number of trees in a specific square meter area, then you can multiply it to get the tree in all the area. Okay, so this is how it is done. There can be various methodologies also. Assessment methodology, level of significance, whether One example which I gave, like if you are going to cut 1,000 trees, so let's say there are 1 crore trees, okay, and you are going to cut 1,000 trees only. Not significant. Okay, this is not significant. A very insignificant number. If there is 1 crore trees. Okay, 100,000 trees, and you are just going. But there, let's say only 5,000 trees are there. Now you are cutting 1,000 trees. Then significance is very much impacted. Okay, key ecological issues to address: inclusion, exclusion list, everything. Okay. So COP is basically conference of parties. So I made a very few slides on this also. Before that, let's see Paris Agreement. And before that, let's see if any questions are there. Okay, no questions. Let's see the Paris Agreement. It's a very good video actually. Yeah, this is full. Okay, so we have get a lot of questions from Jyoti. So Jyoti has asked, sir, can we get practical training in EIA like on ground projects or to make understanding on the subject better? So yeah, Jyoti, you can get practical training on the EIA projects also. So what you can do, search for environmental consulting agencies. So they provide internship to people actually who have a knowledge or are from environmental science and engineering background. So it doesn't mean you have to be an engineer to get the internship. So they, you can work with them, like one of the consulting agency which we saw just here, this consulting engineering associate. So if someone is from Panchkula, then they can contact them for internship, so you will get practical experience there. Okay. So internships are everything. Novel, how to write an EIA report, what is the main element needed? So a novel, just like we discussed with a EIA report, it's not like one people can write a EIA report. It's a whole team which writes the EIA report, and a lot of effort goes into that writing EIA report. So similarly, we saw this EIA report which is prepared by one of the agencies. Okay, so you can see everything there, from impacts, from screening, scoping, everything, from plan, adaptation, mitigation measures. So you can go through this report to understand how it is written actually. Okay. So there are specific formats in which these are actually written. Okay. Elements are same thing which you are getting to know in this course only. Those are the elements of the EA report. A broad teaching is going on. So these are the broad aspects, broad elements. So even if the project changes, you have your concepts clear. You can write the EI report. Okay. Okay, so I think you guys must have got a good sense about the different topics of EIA. So let's continue again. Now the next question is, what is the full form of UNFCCC with UNFCCC? So this is basically this agency is very much related to 1992 Earth Summit, also called Rio de Janeiro Summit, the first time where we started thinking about climate change or sustainable development. Okay. So it is basically United Nations framework on climate change. So basically it determines it makes country to make their nationally determined contributions. So how the nationally determined contributions are like, how will you reduce your emission, the goal, how will you achieve your goal. So we'll read more about this after some of the slides. So this is an important video which I wanted to show, but there are lots of slides which needs to be talked, and then after, so charting the Paris climate pledges. So business as usual scenario. So let's say in 1900, this was the gigatons of CO2 equivalent. So why it is called CO2 equivalent? Why not CO2? Why it is called CO2 equivalent? Anyone? Anyone from the audience? I wanted to know if anyone knows why it is called CO2 equivalent and not uh, CO2. Dipali, Novil, Jyoti, Sahaya. No one? So you can unmute yourself and answer also. You just don't need to write here. So Noel, I was asking that why CO2 is written as CO2 equivalent, not CO2 only in that graph, this graph. Okay. So anyone have any idea? No idea? Okay. So what is that? There are lots of gases that cause global warming. So CO2 is one of the gas. Okay, CO2 is emitted in large number and it is one of the gas. Then we have methane, then nitrous oxides, everything. Okay, a lot of gases are there. 8 gases are there which causes global warming. Okay, so now we have to uh, identify their contribution to the global warming. So CO2 is given a baseline number 1. Okay, so let's say CO2 is going to contribute 1 unit to the global warming. For 1 unit of CO2, if there is 1 unit of methane, it will contribute 27 times of the CO2, 27.6 times. So this is how it is done. So based on that, we get a equivalent number, CO2 equivalent. So 1 moles of CH4 is equivalent to 27 moles of CO2 in global warming. So this is how it works. So this is how the CO2 equivalent term is actually famous. Okay. So this is business as usual scenario. Like from 1900, this is increase. So if we don't contain it, it will go like this. Then with climate pledges, so every country has done climate pledges. So with climate pledges also, it will be like this only. But if you have to follow the 2 degrees C pathways, so there will be strict measures. So from that, we can get to this level. Okay. So this is how it is done in the climate change. So there are lots of parties which have joined the Paris climate change. So I think most of them have joined. These parties have actually signed the agreement but not ratified it. Okay. Their parliament is still to ratify it. Are we on track to reach the Paris Agreement goal? Okay, current policies we are here. 3.5 degrees Celsius rise will be there. Government pledges 3.2 degrees Celsius rise or 3.0 degrees Celsius rise. If we go to Paris climate change goal, then there are two goals. One is 2 degrees Celsius rise, another one is plus 1.5, then there will be no problem. But scientists are saying ki let's say with our technologies which are available at this stage, we can, if we do our best, so then we can achieve plus 2 degrees Celsius. It is not difficult. With this technology we can reach it. Okay, so these are effects. If we fail to reach our goal, low lying areas will become inhabitable, like cities like Mumbai will be under sea. Simple. मालदीव्स वालदीव्स रहेगा नहीं, सब जाएगा. Species extinctions increase, so more species will be extincted. So it has been determined that 30% of the plants and animal will go. Food and water become scarce. Agriculture will be affected. More land will be under sea. Mortality rates increase. Okay, because more pollution, everything, all these things. Mortality rate will increase. Equatorial regions will become inhabitable because of more heat. So people will move towards tropical temperate regions. Economic losses will also increase. 2% of US GDP could be lost with a 4 degrees Celsius temperature rise. See, 3.5 degrees Celsius. You know na US GDP. How much is the US GDP now? $27 trillion. 2% of it will be lost. Climate change policy framework. So there are intended nationally determined contributions. So basically, Paris climate change and the NDC are the heart of Paris Agreement. So each country has to determine how much contribution they can. They have to pledge actually. So this is one of the basic sole criteria of Paris climate change. Now India's updated first nationally determined contribution under Paris Agreement 2021 to 30. Questions may be asked in the exams from this. Be sure to very much go through with this. So India has made NDC like to reduce emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35%. Okay. So 2005 में जो emission intensity था, India will reduce it by 33 to 35%. So it's quite a good goal actually. Emission intensity, emission based on the population criteria. To achieve 40% of cumulative electrical power from non-fossil fuel, basically renewable. Adapt climate change by enhancing investment in development programs in sector vulnerable to climate change, particularly agriculture, water resources, Himalayan region, all these things. To mobilize domestic and new and additional funds from developed countries to implement mitigation and adaptation actions. To create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through additional forest and tree cover by 2030. To put forward and further propagate a healthier, sustainable way of living based on traditional values, conservation, and moderation. To adopt a climate-friendly and cleaner path than one followed by hitherto by others at corresponding level of economic development. To build capacity, create domestic framework, international architecture for quick diffusion of cutting-edge climate technology in India and joint collaborative R&D such future technologies. Okay. So moving to the next question. Before moving to the next question, let me see if there are any uh, uh, questions from the audience. No questions. Okay. So no problem. Match the terms in group A with group B. Okay. So basically high vulnerability is when the receptor is directly dependent on the prevailing climate factors, reliant on the continuous or limited variability. Moderate vulnerability when the receptor on the some climatic factor but able to tolerate. Low vulnerability when climate factors ability and influence. Okay. So this is what this is taken from this slide, from the lecture slides. Okay. So high vulnerability, moderate vulnerability, low vulnerability. So basically it depends like climate, how climatic factors are actually influencing the receptor. Receptor is what? Us, flora, fauna, everything. Ecosystem also. Match the ecosystem resilience attributes given in group A with their elaboration given in group B. Stability. So stability is basically a state in which changes over time are within normal bounds of variation. So that is stability. There can be changes. Changes is inevitable, but if it is within the normal bounds of variation, then it is stable. Fragility or sensitivity is basically ecosystem susceptibility, that is weakness to environmental pressure. So if let's say we ecosystem very weak or susceptible to environmental pressure, it is fragile. Resilience or recoverability. So the ability of system to absorb disturbance without crossing a threshold to a different state. Okay. Recreatability, that is potential of reestablishing an ecosystem richness and complexity similar to ecosystem that has been destroyed. So these are very simple questions. You just have to understand what is written in group B. Okay. And you know the meaning of these words: stability, fragility, resilience, recreatability. Okay. So ecosystem resilience is of four types. That's what we see in the last slide. Stability, negative feedbacks. Okay. So feedbacks within the ecosystem that slow down a process, inertia, delay or slowness in the response of the ecosystem to a driver of change and its recovery if cause is removed. Fragility, okay. A fragile ecosystem is more easily altered and may lose its ability to recover from impact more easily than a stable ecosystem. Resilience is there, okay. Recoverability, recreatability, potential for re-establishing an ecosystem of richness and complexity similar to the ecosystem that has been destroyed. So this is how they have explained it actually. So ecosystem memory. So you can go through this graph actually. So how overexploitation, natural ecosystem, stable state. Okay. So this is what resilience is actually. Okay. And there are different high resistance, medium resistance. So high resistance pressure is there, but no change in ecosystem. So it is high resistance, medium resistance, and high resilience. Then medium resistance, low resilience is there. Okay, so these type of thing is there. Ecosystem state. Now match the following of the group A with the description in group B. So ecosystem environment typically supporting a specific recognizable community. So we have to match it. Okay, so P ecosystem is basically condition that are needed to support a species or community of a species in a particular location. That is ecosystem. Habitat is basically environmental, typically supporting a specific recognizable community. So ecosystem support a lot of species, but environment habitat is basically for a recognizable community. Biotype is basically self-sustaining functioning system consist of physical, chemical, and biological attributes. Okay. Ecology is study of ecosystem, habitats, communities, and species. Okay, that is ecology. So ecology is study of ecosystem self-sustaining functional system physical, chemical. Okay. Habitat support a species or community in a particular location. Community of species in a habitat. Okay. Biotype environmental typically supporting such a specific recognizable community is strictly defined as biotope. Okay. And this is a biotype. Aquarium simulator. So aquarium is basically a biotype. Okay. There are different fees, then they generate these gases and then they get degraded and everything. So a biotope is an area of uniform environmental condition providing a living space to a specific assemblage of plants and animals. It is an English loanword derived from German biotope, which in turn came from Greek bios and topos. Biotope is almost synonymous with the term habitat, which is more commonly used in English speaking countries. However, in some countries, the two terms are distinguished. The subject of biotype habitat is a population. The subject of biotype is biosensiosis or biological community. So, population is actually same species. Community is basically all those species built together, multiple species. Individual, this is population, this is community, this is ecosystem. Okay, and this graph is very much important. So, look into this graph. Always study this graph. So this is individual. When lots of individuals are there, it is called population. Then lots of different types of population consist of community. Then this community is physical environment also, physical biological environment, ecosystem. Then ecosystem, different types of ecosystem are there. Then it consists of biome. Then lots of biome come together. Okay, that cause biosphere. So ecosystem, this is a kind of ecosystem. Okay, it's look like a village uh, setup. This natural village type of setup. Okay. Now we have to state true or false. According to IAEA, there are four key questions for scoping with respect to impact on climate and climate change. So this is actually true. Now we will see four key questions for scoping IAEA with an evaluation. The proposal will directly or indirectly increase or decrease GHG emission. This is first. The proposal may be beneficially or adversely affected and vulnerable to climate change. Okay, climate change may affect other aspects of environment that are potentially affected by the impacts of proposal. And objective of the proposal is to use impact assessment to identify alternatives, measures to mitigate and to adapt climate change. What among the below given is the approach for baseline study? So listing approach, snapshot approach, dynamic baseline, all of these. Okay. So approach for baseline study taken from this slide, listing approach, snapshot approach, dynamic baseline. DA4 is used for species abundant measures. What does DA4 stand for? So DA4 basically this is dominant. Okay. This is abundant. F is frequent. O is occasional. R is rare. Okay. So you just have to, this is the correct answer. So this is how a species abundance measure actually takes place. Semi-quantitative abundance rating. These are visually estimated using systems such as DA4. So DA4 is semi-quantitative abundance rating, dominant, abundant, frequent, occasional, rare. So these type of question can be asked in exams. So you have to be very clear about these type of things. Okay. So they are quick to record but are subjective, approximate to have. Okay. So number of individuals, like there are two counting measures. One in direct counting, you can count the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. Okay. Another one is indirect counting measure, can provide estimates of fairly small population. Capture mark recapture methods so involve capturing, marking a number of individuals, releasing them, resampling them after suitable time interval. Formula is used to derive the population estimate from the proportion of marked individuals in the recapture sample. This concept is regularly used for migratory species at time-based comparative measures because a lot of species are actually migrate to other places. So you cannot imply a direct count measure or okay. So if you go for a count, then most of the species have been migrated. Then you will say which species has been degraded, but it is not the scenario. They have migrated to some other place. Abundance and therefore in ecology, local abundance is the relative representation of a species in a particular ecosystem. It is usually measured at the number of individuals found per sample. So EC4, DAF4, these are various scale. Okay. So guidance notes for recording DAF4. So DAF4 के लिए different guidelines है. Dominant is 15 to 50 to 100, abundant 30 to 50%. Frequent 15 to 30%, occasionally 5 to 15%, rare is less than 5%. Okay, so lots of things which you can study. So I put actually briefly descriptive slides about these DAFO measurements. Maybe these such descriptive question may not be asked in the exam, but you should know. What is plotless sampling? So plotless sampling is basically sampling is not conducted within the defined area. That is plotless sampling. So there can be three data collection methods: plot sampling using quadrats, plotless sampling, transect walking, and use the line intercept method, distance measurements from the sampling points, or a combination of habitat and activity surveys. Specialized collecting equipments. So this is a quadrat. Okay, so this is quadrat. This is how a sampling is done. A quadrat is typically a square frame constructed of plastic, PVC, metal wood that is placed directly on the top of vegetation. Quadrats are commonly called plots. Okay, plot sampling. So quadrant doesn't have to be square, but their area must be known. Okay, other quadrant shapes commonly include circles and rectangle. Okay, so different type of like density, biomass, cover, frequency, everything else obtained from quadrant. Three basic plotless sampling methods, distance methods. So about 8 to 10 methods have been developed, but 3 point center method. So there is a point from there, a center is actually measured, distance is actually measured. So distance from a sample point to the nearest plant in each of the four quarters or quadrants. Choose a series of points in the sample area. Place a cross or plus shaped guides forming over the point. Measure the distance of the point to the nearest plant interest in each of the quadrants outlined by the cross shaped guide. Estimate density. Okay, everything has to measure. The nearest neighbor is there, and closest individual is also there. There are a lot of different types of plotless guidelines methods. So like you also go for closest individual. So distance from a sample point to the closest individual is actually measured, and choose a series of points in the sample area. Measure the distance. Okay, so through that we can estimate the density. If you know the density, you can multiply with the specified area and get the actual population number. Okay, so this is how it is done actually. So before moving to question 11, I think a lot of discussion has taken place. So we should see some videos which are informative. Okay, so that will help you guys also with this determined this one. and the problem of climate change, the complex Kyoto Protocol was actually a very what you say a complex arrangement in which these countries have actually worked towards in handling or tackling the global climate change actually. Okay, so they are not easy negotiations. Kyoto Protocol, then we have this Paris Climate Change Agreement. Uh, a lot of things have gone into it. A lot of things. When you go to the history of climate change negotiation, you will see that this is not this has started some 3 4 decades earlier, and then we are here today where every country is now conscious. Now people are actually more conscious about this climate change, so they are forcing their governments to actually do. And in future upcoming decades, we will see more and more of people participating in decision making and saying, no, climate change is issue you have to tackle. Even you will see now people are actually politicians are actually making promises. We will introduce electric buses. So why electric buses? Because they happen to tackle the climate change. Okay. So now moving to the next questions. So habitat that supports community that contains a large proportion of non-native or introduced flora fauna where human activities have modified the area's primarily ecological function is called modified habitat. Okay, the correct answer is modified habitat. Now, what is a modified habitat? Habitat that supports a community which contains a large proportion of non-native or introduced flora and fauna, or where human activities have modified the area's primary ecological functions. Such area include agricultural, parks, amenity area, commercial forestry, plantation, reclaimed modified wasteland, and rivers. So natural habitat, direct loss, indirect loss, like need for physical space, productive space, results of climate change, results of pollution. Okay. So this is actually from a research article. So I try to put it how different less tolerant, so more tolerant species will survive, less tolerant may perish, all those things. State true or false. Okay, so if we see this question, some species have very limited dispersal abilities. Such low mobility species are unrestricted to remaining habitat patches, unlikely to recognize isolated habitat patches. So this is false statement because these two statements are contradictory. Okay, what is full form of PES? So PES basically payment for ecosystem services. Okay, so whatever ecosystem services earlier you used to say like air is free, water is free, clean water is free. But now nothing is free. Everything has to be paid off. Now you get the drinking water from the bottles, like various companies are actually selling these drinking waters. Air you get air purifier installed in your homes. So yeah, everything has a cost associated with that. So now the important question is how to get the value of these costs. So if it is water, then how do you uh, provide a cost to that water or cost to that air or cost to any ecosystem services which you are getting from the ecosystem? So PES basically looks into that. So valuation of ecosystem services, preference evaluation methods, payments for ecosystem services. So fees for user, biodiversity conservation in United States, Costa Rica, watershed protection, polluter page, carbon sequestration, China and UK. So if you are going to pollute the atmosphere, then coal power plants are being said that you are the polluter, you have to pay for the installation of carbon capture units or pollution control devices or something. Okay, so this has to be looked into actually. Valued ecosystem component. So this is actually from a research paper itself. So it basically shows that this is the ecosystem services, then this is social system. So they actually cross paths with each other. So that has to be an intermingled complex scenario where
The intersection is actually uh, on the thing where everything has to be considered. Valued ecosystem components versus ecosystem components. So this is valued ecosystem component this side. So beach is basically what service a beach is providing: recreation. We go there to recreate, like enjoy. Fishing is there. Sand supply is there, so you get the sand from beaches. Shore bird habitat. Ecosystem service, recreation, then recreation, beach, bay. Okay, service we want recreation. So water ecosystem that can supply this service: beach, bay, coast, forest, park. Okay, this is how it is looked into: valued ecosystem components versus ecosystem services. Now, payment for the ecosystem services: upstream ecosystem service providers. Okay, payment compensation initiative, cash in kind. Downstream ecosystem service users. Okay, so these are providers, these are users. Services can be water quality, water quantity, erosion reduction, carbon capture. So this has to be paid up to. Okay, it's not that you will use it and these things will remain free always. Now the question number 14 is the area people need access for an ecosystem service to be sustainable in terms of level of benefit they need or depend on is called use said. So this is for statement. Okay. The use set is basically area people use for getting a particular ecosystem services. For example, firewood area to collect firewood, even catchment for drinking water. Okay, survey techniques for larger mammals. So I think this was for the larger mammals or something. So this was not this question. This was for this. So what is the survey technique for larger mammal? So it is basically for larger mammal we do generally radio tracking. Okay. So direct observation, either direct observation we can do using field science and survey methods, or radio tracking is there. How radio tracking? So this is how radio tracking works actually. Okay. So earlier this wolf or something has a neck circumference of 21 centimeter and weight of this. So now with time the wolf has got a neck centimeter of 31 8.3. So it has to be recaptured because 40% increase in size is there. So this radio collar had to be installed again and then okay, radio collar fitted on. So now elephants are also getting fitted with radio collars in Kodagu to track movement. So because elephants are vulnerable and they are a lot of poachers are targeting these elephants for their trunks. So this is actually a difficult scenario for elephants to roam freely inside the forest area. So people have to fit the forest people or forest rangers have to fit them with radio collars on different herds. Okay, so they track the movement and they provide protection during these movements. So yeah, I have put some additional contents also here, like EIE report which we discussed today. That was a very fantastic report by MORTH. Then EIA in India, these are relevant documents which you can go through. So these documents were there in the last slide also. Please go through them because you have not gone through them. That's why you are getting lots of question on the EIA, how it is made, how clearance is obtained, everything. But don't worry, these things are quite easy if you want to understand these things. If you are able to understand, so these are very easy things, not very difficult or something which you cannot answer or thing. Okay. So again, thank you all for this session. This is a wonderful live session, and I got wonderful comments and feedbacks from you guys. We discussed the EI report. We solved the assignment questions. We saw a lot of videos that are informative about the climate change, Paris climate change, climate negotiation historically. So yeah, once again, thank you all. Thank you all for attending the session. We'll meet again on 26th of March, that is Tuesday. Thank you. Anjali Krishna. Thank you, Anjali.
Novel is asking, does the video show carbon trading and carbon management like the approach? Yeah, the video actually, the carbon trading was actually introduced in Kyoto Protocol. So the video was actually say when the rich countries were giving money to the poorer country, they were actually referring to that only, carbon trading. Okay, so carbon credits, all those things, carbon management. Okay, so I think we can have and to this session. So thank you all. Thank you once again. The wonder you guys ask wonderful questions, and it is really good to discuss all these things with you. So once again, thank you. We'll meet in the next session. Good night, Noel. Good night, everyone.